afternoon, everybody. You're all very welcome. My name's Aidan Moran from the School of Psychology here at the UCD, and on behalf of my fellow organiser James Matthews, you're all very welcome to UCD. I hope the weather improves a little bit, but it's sunny. That's the main thing at the moment. And without further ado, I just want to introduce two people who are very important to the conference today. First is Professor Brian Nolan, who will represent UCD and who will just welcome all those attending. And then afterwards we'll have Professor Paul Holmes, who is one of the original founders of RIO, who wants to say a few words too. So first of all, Professor Brian Nolan, who is the principal of the College of Human Sciences in UCD.
Thanks, Aidan. You're very welcome. I very rarely find myself disagreeing with Aidan, but I have to start by doing so, in that I'm not very important to this conference. You're very important to this conference. You're very welcome to Dublin and to UCD. It's I think a perfectly sized group, in that I certainly find that the most stimulating intellectual exchanges are not in these large several thousand people conferences where you're lucky to have a sensible conversation in the corridor, much less at the sessions. This looks to me to be the perfect size for exchange, both across some interestingly different disciplinary perspectives and, of course, across people coming from different countries. I'd like to very warmly welcome you. I'd like to thank Aidan and James for all the work that I know goes into organising these sorts of events, and wish you a very productive and hopefully enjoyable couple of days. I stand here as living proof that mental imagery is not enough to improve your sporting prowess. Aidan has coached me, and my tennis resolutely refuses to improve. I think I'll have to talk to James about how one approaches that, and motivation isn't the problem, it's somewhere else, it's deep in the psyche. Anyway, I'm sure you could explain it to me in the coffee break. Have a great time, have a stimulating intellectual exchange and an enjoyable social time here in Dublin, and the very best of luck.
Okay, it's one of my great pleasures now to introduce Professor Paul Holmes, who would just like to say a few words about RIO and the origins of RIO and so on. Thank you.
This is totally unprepared. I was asked 5 minutes ago to represent the RIO committee, whatever that might be. 2005, this group that we're now in Dublin representing was no more than 10 individuals sat in a small classroom at Alsager campus of MNU. Martin Edwards, Nikki Callow, Jennifer Cumming, Dave Smith, and one of my PhD students, Louise Ewan, and possibly one or two others. I apologise if you're in the room, possibly Caroline. And that was it. We sat around one table with some plastic cups and possibly some fairly poor coffee. And that was the start of RIO. We didn't even have a name at that point, and that's only 6-7 years ago. And to be standing here now representing that group and what it's become, this truly international group in such a short period of time, from some individuals who thought we were interested and thought we knew a little bit about sport and exercise, psychology and imagery. We did focus very much just on imagery at that time, and Martin asked us to maybe embrace observation and said probably we should talk about stuff as well as questionnaires, Nikki. And we developed it from there, and now we have cognitive neuroscientists in the room, we have motor rehabilitation, imaging studies. We've moved so far from those early discussions back at MNU, such a short period of time ago. But what we've retained, and it's really important, again I discussed it with Martin just 5 minutes ago, what we've retained in this group over all of the presentations and groups we've had is that this remains a group for new, aspiring researchers in cognitive neuroscience, sport and exercise psychology, and the forum is about support. It's not like a typical phys soc, for those of you who've been there. that can become bear pits. This is about supporting students with really constructive and supportive comments. So for those of you, and there are one or two have already mentioned it, that they are nervous, please don't be. There's nobody in the room that's going to embarrass you or pretend that they know more than you. It's a really supportive group. It's always wanted to be that, and we've tried to encourage that throughout every presentation. So I know Aidan has exactly the same philosophy. We're delighted that he's picked this up, and to have a 2-day international conference is very, very exciting. I feel very proud to have been part of that journey of the RIO group. And so many, many thanks, Aidan. Many thanks to the university for hosting this. And I look forward to some really exciting, stimulating presentations. Thank you.